Hi, my name is Ayanda Sibanda, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this series. My views on racism in the United Kingdom is that it exists both covertly and overtly. Not just that, but people who are still on the fence about this, it can only be attributed to one of two things: denial or ignorance. And I say this because there is so much documentation, there is so many reports, so many case studies, so much research, and so many personal experiences that have been shared, that the question moves from being, does racism exist in the United Kingdom, to what are we going to do about the racism that exists in the United Kingdom? And I just want to talk about one area that I'm passionate about, and I feel that if we get this right, it will help us on the trajectory to becoming an anti-racist society. And that's moving from a place of misrepresentation or non-representation to a place of accurate representation. There's a quote that says, "You can't think or perceive a color you've never experienced before." And that works with us as humans too. We cannot think outside of who we innately are. And that's okay, because our differences and diversity make us unique and it makes us who we are. The problem comes when we don't allow other people's input and their experiences of life and their diversity and how they see the world to influence how we see things, our attitude towards them, how we behave, or even the policies and the structures that we have put in place. And that's where things have gone wrong from the BAME community, because we haven't been represented accurately, and because of this we haven't been protected the way we're supposed to be, we haven't been supported the way we're supposed to be, we haven't been given opportunities the way that we need them, and we definitely have not been celebrated the way that we need to be. But all this can change if we decide to become more aware and actively get involved. And I just want to give one example of these areas. As I work with young people, I have to do safeguarding training. And I remember last year when I went to safeguarding training, I was with a trainee who's been in this job for 20 years plus. She was a middle-aged white woman, and she was doing a module on how you accurately report abuse with young people. Unfortunately, there are so many cases of abuse that happen on a daily basis that the standards for being seen as a priority, given imminent support, or being placed as high risk can only happen if you meet a certain level of criteria and eligibility. One of these criteria is evidence of bruising. The problem with this requirement is the fact that black people do not bruise at the same rate as white people. Medical scientists have already shown that melanin makes it a bit harder for you to see bruises, which means that a white child and a black child can be hit with the same amount of impact, but you won't see the bruise the same way. This is a problem because it means that some children from ethnic minority backgrounds who are supposed to be put as high priorities can't get there because the procedures that have been put supposed to protect them, they can't meet those requirements. And when I said this to the trainee, she was actually taken aback because she had never thought about it. And you can't blame her because, like I said before, it's hard to think outside of who you innately are. And this is why we need to allow places and platforms for black people and ethnic minorities to be represented accurately so we can begin to be protected in the way that we need to be and supported as well. There's a scripture in Amos that says, "Let justice run like a river." And if you think about the way a river flows, it all flows in one direction. And rivers aren't one blob or mass of water. It's thousands of millions of mini particles across a whole sea pushing in the same direction. And that's the stance we need to take, whether you're in the entertainment sector or media or healthcare or education or politics. Wherever you're at, you have an area of influence, and you need to check that you are representing ethnic minorities accurately. Not just that, but that you are supporting the anti-racist movement as best as you can in your little cluster. And if we all do that, then we can all push forward for an anti-racist society. And that's why platforms like this are so important, because we have to keep the conversation alive so that we don't have to tell our children that they have to work twice as hard as their white counterparts, so that our children don't get racially profiled, so that our children don't have to go to protests, because we have chosen to be the change that we want to see. Thank you.